city dweller, successful fella, thought to himself, oops, I've got a lot of money. Caught in a rat race, terminally. I'm a professional cynic, but my heart's not in it. I'm paying the price of living life at the limit. Caught up in the centuries, anxiety. Yes, the craze on here.
I wandered into food offices one day to see Andy, and I was looking at some cassettes on his desk, and I saw a new Blur song called Country House, and I said, picked it up and go, what, is this about me? Jokingly, and Andy looked kind of embarrassed at me at the time. I thought, oh, it is about me.
Yeah, Country House is based on Dave Balfe. It was, but it's also, oh God, I don't want to talk about that song. Fucking nightmare.
Fighting for the 1995 title of most popular British band are Oasis, 5 hard-drinking Mancunian rockers. Their opponents are Blur, 4 hard-drinking but very user-friendly Essex boys. The two bands are in a head-to-head contest, both releasing their singles today. When the record shop doors opened this morning, battle commenced. The chances are both singles could have been #1 had they been released on separate weeks.
I can't really look on it in any other way other than a grand farce, really. It was the wrong song for that particular moment, but, you know, in a way, I'm kind of glad that we did it, because I don't think we'd have maybe been able to escape the whole sort of thing about being a big band and being involved with the tabloids and just that whole circus which none of us were comfortable with. And by making such a sort of grand error, we were relegated, but it did us a lot of good, you know.
In the country.
I don't relate to that period at all. It was completely surreal. Every day I'd have people reminding me of Oasis in whatever way they could. Literally, I'd walk down the street and people would open windows or open doors and turn up the stereo. And every shop I went into, they'd change the tape and put an Oasis one. Every pub, you know, it was just relentless.
I didn't particularly enjoy playing Country House, and I was listening to noisier, more American songs that had more room for inventiveness. But I think, I mean, it's something we had to do, was to take that perverse pop thing as far as we could, and we did. We took it as far as we could go, like a horse, until it dropped dead. And we were well aware when it was dead. And it pretty much coincided with Damon starting to enjoy a bit more of the music that I've been liking.
Beat a bomb. What you done? She's your gun. Now what you done? You beat a bomb.
We started realising that maybe there is some worth in kind of jamming, and we'd always had a bit of a laboratory approach to recording before. I think we just left more space. We were no longer putting funny rhubarb and custard keyboard sounds and backing vocals that weren't particularly required anymore.
I still haven't worked out what I'm doing, so the album Blur was just another example of me not really knowing where I was going and who I am.
Britpop had appeared, and it had come to represent a kind of election manifesto. No right-thinking, subversive rock and roll animal wants to be making government-sanctioned music. You know, so we just thought, we just had to get as far away from that as possible, really. We just said, well, no more fucking brass. And we let our hair down a bit, really.
And when she lets me slip away, she turns me on and on. I just slip away, and I am gone.
I think that's what I've sort of learned, and why kind of things work a lot better for me now, is that I can separate stuff, you know, that I do write too much music to just put it all into the band. I don't think it's fair either, because I think a lot of it really doesn't lend itself to what is good about Blur as 4 people.
The film is called Ordinary Decent Criminal, and it's about a gang and their leader in Dublin. I chose Damon to compose the music because I didn't want a traditional classical type score. I wanted a pop score. Most films of this kind, of sort of urban drama, gangster drama, tend to use a lot of source music, pre-recorded music, and I wanted somebody who could compose a score that was could cover the range of the needs of the film.
Listen, I'm going to start losing my rag soon. Right, when we play to the track, don't listen to the click, listen to the music. I'm only interested in you playing in the music. I don't care about the click. The vibe is already, there's drums, there's guitar, there's everything, okay? So fuck the click. Well, make sure it's click, make sure the music is there. You're playing with other musicians here. You're not playing to a click, okay? We haven't got time to fuck around like this.
When you're working film music, I think you live so long with the images when you're writing the music and trying to set it all and spot it. You know, it's kind of, it's not like working with a band where you've known each other for years and your frame of reference is really exact, you know, because you've all been through the same experiences and listened to the same music.
Can someone take charge of this? Because I'm just going to, you know, it just seems like the easiest task on the planet to play this. Just because it's out of, it's not like, you know, it's a kind of backing track that they're not used to. It doesn't mean they can't play to it.
You need to advance part 2. Beat 2 needs to...
That's better. It's really close now. It's just got to be a little bit more musical. Dun da dun da dun da dun da. Dun, da, dun, da, just a bit more feeling in those answering phrases.
That's why it was quite sort of stressful today, because it's. But I think we got it out of them in the end. You know, it's just a case of persistence.
All the changes in the band come from low boredom thresholds, overexposure to MTV, short attention spans, constant search for something fresh and new and interesting. You're not in a band unless you want to do something different every day. If you want to do something that's the same every day, you're a computer programmer. It was the kind of... realising that was what made me join a band rather than be a computer programmer. I've always been interested in visual trickery. Animation is something, I suppose, it was around the time when I quit drinking I found I suddenly had loads of time on my hands, and the one thing you need for animation is time. I suppose this is a little story about having a drink, really. I was obviously still thinking about drinking in some deep way.
And it makes quite a noise. And then there's things like quite interesting music you can make on this thing. Sort of like this kind of thing. And that's about it. That's about how much I can deal with technology. But I mean, I do most of the artwork on this anyway, and they kind of this sort of thing. Like that's how it kind of turned out. The sketches that went towards the cover of 13 from the painting over the other side of the room. But it was going to be the cover to Tender first of all, but then they liked the other one better for Tender, this one. So it got swapped around.
Tender is the night, lying by your side. Tender is the touch, someone that you love too much. Tender is the day, the demons go away. Lord, I need to find someone who can heal my mind. Come on, come on, come on. Get through it. Come on, come on, come on. Love's the greatest thing. Come on, come on, come on.
Damon's writing has improved so much over the last few years, and I think with confidence comes the desire to not hide behind so many different characters and actually write more in the first person, which in fact is what he's doing now. And I can't understand people kind of criticise. I mean, in fact, there was a letter recently in the NME, someone criticising Damon for writing about his breakup as being an influence behind an album. And I just thought, how can you be critical of someone? You know, the relationships have always been a great influence behind writing.
Tender is the ghost I love the most. Hiding from the sun, just waiting for the night to come. Tender is my heart.
For a while, it was really difficult with this record is that it sort of started to become so preoccupied with my ex-relationship. It's the real problem with being involved with someone who is also in the same business or is in a similar business with similar kind of profile to yourself, is that everything becomes personal. You know, you can't possibly avoid it. If you anything you do is in some way linked to that, so it just, and everything gets very distorted. And I think, you know,
it always generates a lot of musical voltage, a bit of love, a bit of a love rumble.
more organic record maybe than any of our other records, but all the experimenting really for me is done while I'm writing the songs. Yeah, this is what I do all my demos on, and I like it because it's got a an inbuilt microphone so that I can be anywhere and I can do, you know, just have a guitar and then I can just do 4 and then bounce. I can do like 8 tracks on this. Yeah, I mean you know, it's sort of brilliantly crap. demos from 13 were written on this, and most of them from the album before. A song should be strong enough anyway to sort of survive whatever you do to it. If it's not, then it's the fault of the song and not the person who's working on it, really. That's why I like working on this thing, because if it sounds good on here, it's definitely going to sound good when it's, you know, been really enhanced.
Dave and I met Professor Colin Pillinger, who's basically waving a flag for a British space programme. He's going to drop off a 25-kilogram payload at Mars, and he's devised some fairly clever equipment that burrows under the oxidised surface, gets into the subsoil, basically trying to detect biological fart prints, methane gas. If he can prove that life's existed elsewhere, then that'll probably be their biggest discovery ever. So we've just done a little bit of music for it.
I think I'm someone of extremes, so I either like something that is like marble or water or glass, simple and beautiful, or something really obnoxiously hideous in the other extreme.
I had the good fortune of working with the Smiths and working with someone as good as Johnny Marr, and never thinking I'd work with a guitar player as good as Johnny ever again. But if anything, Graham managed to surpass that, because he just takes things and he just distorts things. He just likes to turn things around a little bit and add an extra element.
Well, our biggest hit ever. I heard that Robbie Williams is ending his shows with Song 2, and the majority of the audience there probably think that he wrote it now, you know, which is a bit annoying.
Song 2 was huge because it's completely unsophisticated and thuggish, and that's what basically people like.
That's not my problem. That's not my problem.
I mean, basically it all comes down to good songs. It doesn't matter how you present good songs, really. There'll always be good songs, you know. Just, you know, you don't care what a pretty girl's wearing, do you?
We really have lived through all the cliches. I mean, we're the indie Spinal Tap, really. I mean, we've done it all, you know.
One of the great things about them is you don't know what they... a cliche. You don't know what they'll do next, but you really don't. So if their next record is a skiffle album, I won't be that surprised. I'll be rather amused, actually.
The South Bank Show, in association with Anderson Consulting.